Welcome to the Unscripted SEO Interview Podcast. Yes, it's 100% unscripted, 100% unrehearsed, 100% unedited, and 100% real. I'm your host, Mark A. Preston. The content, obviously improving the quality of the content. What does that actually mean, improving the quality of the content?
I think this has changed since I started SEO. So there's a lot of difference between the 2000 and 2022. But the first thing you have to look at, and I think Panda was really the big push for this, is what is low quality content. All right. So when you say about improving content, the first thing you look at the site holistically and you say, what doesn't deserve to be there? So generally, thin content that's there just for search engines. So whether it's a zip code page or whether it's a product that's never in stock or was in stock once, you've got to think about how you handle content that shouldn't be there. So, consolidation, aggregation, just getting rid of, letting Google know their content's gone. Those are the things I look at. Then I look at, does a page, and this is 2020 and the 20s kind of view, does a page answer a query completely? So while at the search agency, which is the agency in Los Angeles, I came up with intent to content. It was quite kind of radical at the time. This is 2014. I mean, it's 8 years ago. And I also, came up with the idea of holistic search, which was really looking at all the different facets that touch search, and content was one of them. And at that time, there was also the authority standpoint of it from Google Plus and authors and things like that, But it really came down to, if content is king, authority content is king here. And that was in my presentation. And it really looked at answering the query completely, answering it in an authoritative way, so an expert way, and really not worrying about word count as being any kind of facet of SEO. It was worried about answering the question completely. And I remember, Matt Cutts said it, and I said it, and lots of other people said it, is, how long do you need to be on a page to understand if a query or intent has been answered completely? And it really came down to, it depends on the subject, the topic, and getting that engagement of someone through a site was really an understanding of you answered the query enough, and enough on one page to get someone to move to a second page. So good content, it answers the question. Great content answers the question completely.
Great. Well, I'm going to say there's been some, I've forgotten the number of times I've read a case study that's mentioned content in the context of 2,000 plus words.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know about you, but I think this sort of stuff shouldn't be published. Because people look at it. I remember a case study a few years ago that mentioned 2,000 words on a page. Literally, I think it was 3 months later, an e-commerce brand from Australia come to me, said, Mark, I've had an SEO work on my site. Can you check it out? Every single product page had 2,000 words of content. And other things that I could recognise what case study they've read. But, the whole content thing, it confuses so many people. But like you say, just write what's needed there on the page.
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of things I have to feed into exactly that, because we both look at word count and we go, it's a silly metric. All right. However, there are often guidelines one needs to give to someone that doesn't know SEO. And we often run into this, and I'm sure you have as well, which is, someone says, well, how many words should I write about? And I say, answer completely. And they come back and they go, well, I've done, 100 words and it answers the, I say, no, that's not completely. Go and look at who's ranking in the top 10. And there's tools like Surfer SEO and Page Optimizer Pro. And there's other tools that scrape the top 10, top 20, top 50, whatever. And then they come up with an average. And although it's not useful in saying that is a number you should go for, it is a guideline to say that is a number you should go for. So there's always this, I hate to say it depends, but there's always this idea of we're dealing with people that don't know SEO. So if you want to give someone a guideline, you're going to get that guideline from something. Now, I can say answer the question completely, satisfy the query completely, but someone's going to come back and say, well, how many words is that? Or they're charged by word. And so we have that problem of how do we explain to people that are actually doing the work or who don't know how long an article might be. So yeah, there is no number, but there is a number. And that number is just a guideline, not a definitive line in the sand that says, hey, you've got to do this. So but I hate to keep going, but this is the challenge. The challenge that SEOs have is explaining to non-SEOs why things are important and why sometimes we're working on imperfect data. So, co-occurrence of words in a page. We can analyze that and we can leverage that to give us insights and give us some direction. But when it's us direction, unless we're actually writing the page, we're using it as a tool to give to someone to go and write the ideal piece of content. And we're going to look at what's in that content based on someone like Surfer SEO or Page Optimizer Pro that gives us a distinct word count, topic count, entity count, NLP, whatever it might be. They're going to give us a brief that we can give to someone to write. So I think that's a long answer. Maybe it's over 2,000 words I just said, but it answered the question completely satisfying and with a certain amount of cadence of relevance,
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the best explanations I've heard. You've been listening to the Unscripted SEO Interview Podcast with me, Mark A. Preston. Join us next time as I interview more top SEO professionals.